Have you ever heard of the term status of residence, 在留資格? 在留資格 is a Japanese term for immigration status in Japan. In this video, we talk about 在留資格, the status of residence for those who have fled to Japan from their home countries due to conflict or persecution. A person who does not have Japanese nationality needs formal permission to stay in Japan. This is called status of residence. Those with status of residence of more than 3 months are given a residence card by the Immigration Services Bureau. Status of residence and visas are different. A visa proves that you have no problem entering Japan. It can be applied for at the embassy or Consulate General of Japan. Even if you have a visa, it doesn't mean that you will be given status of residence. There is no visa to flee as a refugee. Some people enter Japan on a tourist, student, or business visa and then apply for protection as a refugee. There are various statuses of residence held by people fleeing to Japan. It depends on their country of origin, how they arrived in Japan, and their personal circumstances. If they meet the conditions, the status of residence can be changed later on. People who apply for protection as refugees will go through a screening process. If you are recognized as a refugee, you will receive a status of residence as a long-term resident, 定住者. It is also possible for you to invite family members to Japan. In addition, you will not be forcibly deported to your home country. Even if you have not applied for refugee status, you may still receive status of residence. This is when your situation in your country of origin, such as Syria, Myanmar, Afghanistan, or Ukraine, changes suddenly and you cannot return to your country of origin. If you have a status of residence, are you allowed to work in Japan? Regarding working in Japan, there is status of residence with restrictions and status of residence without restrictions. If there are restrictions, the number of hours and types of jobs you can work are limited. The residence card states the type of status of residence, the period of stay, and whether or not you can work in Japan. The type of work or the number of hours you can work depends on your status of residence. If you were given a letter of designation, check the letter of designation as well. Once you lose your status of residence, it is not possible to regain it. If you lose your status of residence, you may be detained in an immigration detention facility. You will not be allowed to work in Japan. You will not be able to receive most of the government services in Japan, such as national health insurance. Your status of residence is important. Make sure to change or renew your status of residence before the end of your period of stay so that your status of residence does not expire. The period of stay is written on your residence card. Procedures are carried out at the Immigration Services Bureau. You may lose your status of residence. If you no longer go to school, though you have a student status of residence, report an address that you do not live in, or go to the correction facility by committing a crime, your status of residence may be terminated. If you do not understand or have troubles with your status of residence, consult with NGOs or a lawyer as soon as possible. You can find free counseling services on our website.